Hey, what's going on everyone? Today's video is going to be about 6 types of rideshare drivers that annoy us passengers. I couldn't help but notice there's like a plethora of videos describing how horrible and rude Lyft or Uber passengers are, but I find little to no videos when it comes to rude drivers or problematic drivers, right? So I wanted to be one of the ones to put a video out there. I have nothing but time, and with this whole pandemic situation going on, why not? So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Number 1 is the smelly driver. Typically, this person is very kind and has great conversation. The only issue is that they smell completely disgusting. And I've had a personal experience where I was in someone's car and it smelled like earring backs. And for those of you who don't know what earring backs smell like, it smells like rotting flesh, like a belly button. It was totally disgusting. We get it. It's your car and you paid for it. But at the same time, if you're going to have a job which requires the public to enter your vehicle and stay in there for X amount of minutes, at least have the common decency to make sure that it smells fresh. No one wants to sit and smell your funk or smell your, oh, I smoke 1,000 packs of cigarettes a day. No, that is totally freaking disgusting. I don't even know why you would think of being a rideshare driver and you know you stink. Number 2 is the driver that talks too much and too personal. You ever been in a ride where you just want to sit there, chill and relax and get to your destination, but no, you can't because the driver wants to talk the entire way. The driver wants to know who you are, where you're from, who's your father, who's your mother, what city you were born in. They want to know it all. And you're just like, I just prefer not to talk, but you don't want to be rude and risk getting a bad rating as a passenger. So you just allow this person to talk and talk and talk. Number 3 is calls you, then cancels. For those of you who've never done rideshare before, when you search for a driver and then the driver accepts to take you somewhere, sometimes you'll get a case where the driver might call you and ask you where you're going, right? You tell them where you're going because you're a nice person and they say, okay, then they hang up the phone and they cancel the ride. This situation really irks me because people have places they need to go and be, and no one has time for you to cancel a ride 20 minutes into waiting. That will really piss a person off. Why accept the ride in the first place? I don't care if you didn't want to go there or if you didn't feel like going there. The fact of the matter is that you accepted the ride just to cancel it minutes later, which ultimately ended up in me being late to work. Oh, this is golden. Number 4, barely speaks English. This is the guy who accepts your ride and he calls you and asks you which parking lot you're at, and you're like, oh, I'm in parking lot A. And he's like, oh, I don't know how to speak English. Oh, now it's your fault because now I'm frustrated that I can't speak the same language as you, but I was silly enough to get the job that requires you to communicate with others to find them. Ha ha ha. I cannot stand this person. I get it, you need to make a living, but when your living starts to inconvenience me, then we have an issue. Number 5 is hood drivers. Now, I don't know if this just happens to people who have copious amounts of melanin in their skin, but from personal experiences, I've had situations where I would get into a driver's vehicle and they're just blasting hood music from Detroit, like, what are we doing? Like, you're blasting this music like I'm your homegirl or I'm your woman, and you just leaning back, riding. And some people think that's okay, but I think that is the most ghettoest crap ever. Whether or not you want to believe it, Lyft and Uber is a business, and you gotta treat it as such. I mean, you can play loud music that's very explicit, but at the end of the day, it can very much affect whether or not Uber or Lyft wants to continue having you as a driver, because people could rate you poorly based on that. And I'm thinking to myself, if I was a white person, would this person, because I'm telling y'all the truth, more than likely it's a black person, because I've never gotten to a white person or any other person and they were playing all this loud ghetto crap. I had to ask myself whether or not if I was a white person, would they be carrying on like this? And the answer is no, I don't think so. So I kind of take it as if like, oh, you don't have respect enough for me to accommodate me and take my feelings into consideration. And number 6 is the driver who takes their frustrations out on you, the customer. I had a situation where a driver was frustrated with me from the beginning. I was waiting outside in front of my house because I guess this guy didn't feel like reading the address. And I now understand that Lyft doesn't really tell you exactly where you're going, but I'm pretty sure he had an address and all he had to do was look at the numbers on the house. But no, I guess that's too hard nowadays and people don't want to use their brain. It's just too much for them. So he decided to call me very rudely and asked me where I was at. And then when I got in his car and he actually dropped me off to where I was going, which was work, he was in the parking lot of my job and he said, "Where am I going? Where am I going?" And I'm like, you need to chill out. I didn't tell him that, but I'm like, I'm definitely giving you an awful review because you deserve it. And it takes a lot for me to give somebody a bad review. Even after all that stuff I named, I still gave a lot of those people the benefit of the doubt. Some of these Lyft and Uber drivers have very poor attitudes, and then they walk around like you aren't allowed to criticize them, but they can criticize everything about you like they do everything right. Like, do you know your car stinks? Do you know that you have a poor attitude? Do you take into consideration the type of music you play while you have people riding in the back of your car as a job? Like, it's still a business, whether you like it or not. Then I had this situation today, which was my final and last straw. This driver, you know, the whole pandemic thing, I decided to go to the mall or whatever. I was going to get a bite to eat. I went to the mall just fine. Now, when it was time for me to leave, I, had sent my driver to the same address that I used to get there, right? So I figured that the driver would show up where I was dropped off. So the driver showed up at another area because I was at JCPenney's, right? And at the mall, you can, there's multiple entrances to JCPenney. Only issue was, for JCPenney's now, they're having it to where all customers have to enter through one door. In one door exactly. And I was not able to get out to the driver through that door. So instead of being nice and accommodating and driving around, this driver was like, "Oh, I'm at the address they gave me." And basically, to me, it was sounding like I'm staying put, I'm not moving. And I let him know, this is the only entrance in the mall that the customers are allowed to get in and out of. So it would be nice of you to meet me at the entrance that customers can get in and out of only, because it's not necessarily my fault that all the doors are freaking blocked off and I'm not able to exit through any other door. But no, he just hung up, didn't even say, sorry, I just have to cancel the ride. No, passive aggressive, hung up the phone and then canceled the ride, and I had to pay a cancellation fee, even though I was outside waiting. And I felt like that situation was out of my control. So I was like, you know what? I'm making a video about this bull. So if any of you have had any similar situations, feel free to share your experiences in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and you better subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.